Well, you're absolutely right, Andrew, that this is a historic moment for our country, and the formal process has begun. I've written to, as they say, invoke this Article 50 that people will have heard about, which starts the process of formal negotiations. As we look ahead to the outcome of those negotiations, that means more than negotiating our new relationship with the EU.
That's your vision for Brexit. The point that Mrs May made today was that you're not capable of delivering that. She portrayed you as a risk to the country if you were leading Brexit negotiations.
The risk to this country is a government that sets up megaphone diplomacy ahead of serious negotiations. We will negotiate a Brexit that works for all, for the many, not the few. Negotiate a Brexit that works for all. We will negotiate, and the decision will be made by 27 member states, by the European Commission and by the European Parliament, as well as by the British Parliament.
Time for Word of the Week. Right, so here we go. William says, is it negotiation, or even negotiation with almost a T in there? Well, it's not the last one, but which of the first two is it? Now, before we get on to this, very, very quickly, write a suggestion with your tricky word, your tricky English word, and we might help you with it next time. Now, okay, so with this particular word, well, what you were hearing with Theresa May and with Jeremy Corbyn, at least when he was saying the full noun rather than the verb, was an example of something called hypercorrection, where basically you take a grammatical or pronunciation rule or pattern and you start to apply it in the wrong context. So, for example, we have often an S in associate. So a lot of people will say associate with an S, and that's correct in the dictionary, as is an SH sound, a sh. So some people will also say associate, and again, that's equally as correct in the dictionaries. Same thing with issue versus issue, both are correct, but with all of these words, notice there's not a C in the spelling, there's not an S in the spelling, there's a T. And in fact, if you look at the Longman Dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary and the Cambridge Dictionary, they all agree that it should be sh, right? It should be a sh. It's negotiate, not negotiate. So there's your answer. Technically, we shouldn't say any of these words, in fact, with an S. We should say negotiate rather than negotiate, which you hear Theresa May saying all the time, and Jeremy Corbyn saying negotiate. Well, he says negotiate, as you might have noticed, but he says negotiation, so he's not quite sure what he thinks on that matter. But yeah, technically we should say negotiate and propitiate, initiate. Yeah, you wouldn't hear people saying initiate, right? Substantiate, not very common. So there you go, there's your answer. Now look, if you look in the MerriamWebster dictionary, it does include the S pronunciation listed there, but if you look really closely, you'll see this little symbol here. Now, what this means, now I had to look this up, I'm a super fun person, which is why I did that. This is called an obelus or a division sign. It basically means in the Merriam-Webster dictionary, it's a questionable or unacceptable pronunciation. So, in other words, it's not really thought of as correct. And they have the same division symbol in front of pronunciations like library, library, which is technically incorrect. People should really say library because it has an R after the B. And also with nuclear, whereas the word actually is nuclear with an L after the C. So that's written down as an unacceptable or questionable pronunciation, which people use. Now look, I'm not saying that's incorrect. There are many, many experts who would completely disagree with you. Here's one, for example.
Nuclear. It's pronounced nuclear.
Whatever.
Nuclear.
But let's just say that Merriam-Webster agrees with the other dictionaries too on this whole matter. But in fact, if you ask a lot of English speakers about saying negotiation, or even pronunciations that are in the dictionary like issue and sexual rather than issue and sexual, and they'll tell you that using that S sounds really old-fashioned. But many people also prefer to say these words with an S, so it causes a lot of debate. But why is this? Well, British comedian Matt Berry, he sends this up beautifully when he plays a pompous actor called Stephen Toast in a show called Toast of London. Look it up if you're in the UK. Hopefully you can see a few clips, but let me show you one. I mean, this show is full of wordplay and silly names, but one thing he does is change words like casual with a zh sound to casual, which no one says, at least in 2017. So have a look, see if you can catch what it is. If you're a native speaker, it will probably stand out like a sore thumb. If you're not a native English speaker, then see if you can spot which word he's sort of mispronouncing in this clip.
It's the actor, Derek Sibling. The brightest in his year at RADA. Trot out one of the best Henry V's this fella's ever seen. All going well for him. Then he bursts onto the television, clutching his guts in a laxative ad. Then, good night, sweetheart.
So did you catch it? It was television, right? Jeune, it should be jeune, that ending, but he says zien, television. But why does it have this pompous sort of feeling to it? Why does it sound old-fashioned? And why do some people say that it sounds really old-fashioned to say, issue, not issue? And, of course, negotiation and other words like that. Well, I'm going to really bore you now. We're getting into Latin. But don't worry, I'll be quick. So basically, you go back to this word, negotium. It has a hard T. This is a Latin word, the origin of negotiate. Now, you go from Latin to the Italian. That went through a process called assimilation, which basically means that hard T sounds, like in negotium, became like a TS sound, or even towards a whole S sound. So, negoziare, tiare, sound. And then when you go from the Italian to the Spanish, you have negociar, or negociar, depending on where you're from. So again, an S is being used instead of that original hard T. And for the French, we have négocier with an S sound. Now, for the Latin to English, there has been a bit of back and forth, it seems, as far as my research shows that I've done on this. So, for example, if you look at tion endings in modern English, we would say shun, right? That originated in Latin, which was a tio ending with a hard t sound in Latin. So modern English words like nation used to be natio, with a T in it, and that changed to nation in Old French. Excuse my Old French accent, probably isn't very good, but anyway, that changed eventually to nation in Middle English. So you'll hear, if you read the Canterbury Tales and Chaucer and all that, then that would be pronounced nation, written with a C, pronounced with an S, right? But in modern English, we change it to nation. So there's been a bit of back and forth in this tion, shun difference. But now, if you look at modern English, tion endings are always shun, apart from one exception, which is bastion. There may be other exceptions. If you can find any, or you know of any, leave a comment. But otherwise, these shun endings, tion, should be just like that, shun, with a sh sound, okay? Not a tien or sien, but shun. And the same thing applies with she ate. Like she ate a bowl of porridge, she ate, yeah? And negotiate, propitiate, initiate, all in modern English should technically be pronounced with that sh sound, she ate. Now, if you're French and you want to make sure you're doing this correctly, then just look at a French word like chou, which has a sh in it anyway, and you can just transfer that sound in. It's already in your language. If you're Spanish, then this sh sound really only exists in loan words. So, for example, the English word crucial, actually, that's, I guess, originally an English word. I don't know where it came from before that, but the Spanish use it from the English, but they wouldn't say crucial, they would say crucial or crucial. So it's not really in the native Spanish tongue. So because of that, my tip would be instead to use the ch sound, which is in your native tongue in words like muchacho. And you can take that short ch sound and just make it longer. Ch 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 sh, and there you have it. Shun, yeah? So make sure you're pronouncing T-I-O-N endings, not sion like you would in Spanish, but shun with that much less precise consonant, sh. So that's if you're Spanish. And if you're a politician, or should I be saying politician? I mean, why not, right? Why not politician, negotiation? After all, it wasn't that long ago that we were saying nation and attention rather than nation and attention. You know, for example, this thing used to be called a wops. This thing was a napron. It just goes to show language evolves, right? There's no such thing as correct, because that changes so quickly in the blink of an eye in historical terms. So, it's up to you. But look, if there's a word or phrase that you're struggling with, then we're announcing something new very, very soon. We've been trialing it, and our subscribers have been really enjoying it. Basically, it's a way that we can help you personally with your words and phrases, and we can do that by answering your questions, by leading you through step by step, sound by sound, intonation patterns, whatever it might be that's the problem in these words or phrases for you. And it's called the Masterclass. And it's not quite ready yet, but if you want to find out and hear about it and be the first to hear about it, then make sure you click to sign up. There's a quick sort of form you can fill in, and we'll make sure we let you know as soon as that's ready. And we really look forward to introducing this to you guys. Apart from that, have a great week, and make sure you leave a comment either way with your tricky word or phrase, because next word of the week is coming just in 7 days' time, and it could be yours. So have a good week.